Okay, give it a try here. Let's see how my broadcast is doing from the hills of somewhere, hiding out from the calamity coming on to the world. Everybody gotta do what they gotta do. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends. Take care of people in need. And see if we can make it through this time together. In the meantime, we can learn a lot about creation, physics, biology, science. We can learn about the fact that there is no absolute measure of time or distance in the universe. That's physics, because the Bible says that a day is like 1,000 years, 1,000 years is like a day to God. And in fact, there is no absolute measure of time or distance in the universe. Everything is fabrication, including the fabrication of quantifiable, limited, measurable time and distance that we experience. So there is no way you can put an age on the universe, because time itself is a fabrication. Because how are you going to measure the age of the universe when the universe runs at varying rates of time, from very, very, very slow to extremely already fast, already there, which is true. We see light arrive instantly because it takes no time to travel, no distance, because there is no time at the speed of light. And yet, when we go to measure it, we see light taking time to arrive. So that means that we exist in the fabrication of time. It's not infinite time or outside of time. We are just a fabrication, and God knows the end from the beginning. We're the ones just traveling through time. And depending on what kind of decision we make, will determine our destiny, whether we're eternally ashamed and disgraced, or we have joy forever for telling the truth, for being honest, for helping other people understand and know the truth of God's word, which is true and it is not a lie, as John says in 1 John somewhere. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. It's true and it is not a lie. Word became flesh and dwelt among us. We beheld his glory as of the only begotten from the Father, full of grace and truth. Then he goes on to say, there was the true light when coming into the world, enlightens every man. And John said, this is the one that I was telling you about, that he is greater than me. And of course, when you have a prophecy of the seed of the woman crushing the serpent's head, who is worthy to crush the serpent's head. There's no man of sin can ever be Messiah because he is a sinner. So how is he going to crush the serpent's head? Hello, Mitchell. No man of sin can be Messiah. The only one to crush the serpent's head is God himself. So we need to help our Jewish brethren understand this, that no man of sin can be Messiah, because they're still looking for Messiah. And we need to explain kindly to them that in love, of course, that only God can be your Savior. Nobody else can be. Only God himself can perfectly cover for you himself and remake you again from the inside out by the power of his true word, by his Holy Spirit that he sends to you by way of the blood of Jesus, because otherwise God could have nothing to do with us. Otherwise we would have disintegrated a long time ago. But because of the provision of the seed of the woman, we have a perfect Adam who is the last Adam to die for the first Adam. And that's how we are covered, so that God can send us the Holy Spirit to convict us of sin, righteousness, and judgment. He convicts the world of sin, righteousness, and judgment. Hello, this one guy. So that the Spirit of God is sent to everyone. And that's not possible. It's only possible by the blood of Jesus that the Spirit of God is sent to us. Just tell them Jesus will come back. Don't worry. Yeah. The Messiah, Jesus, will return. He said, the same way I lived, the same way I left is the same way you'll see me coming back. So he left. The same way they saw him go up into heaven is the same way he's going to come back down to earth. And he's going to rule the nations. And all nations will serve the Son of Man. He is the Son of Man. And Daniel says all nations will serve the Son of Man. You don't serve anyone other than God. So the Son of Man is God. The King of Kings is Jesus, Lord of Lords. Exactly. Who is the King of Glory? The Lord of Hosts. He is the King of Glory. So we have the truth in our hands, and all we have to do is to share it, what we have, with the world. They don't understand, they're confused, so we have to explain everything to them because of how many lies they were told. Depending on how many lies they were told, depends on how much confusion they have. So if they were told a lot of lies, which many people have been, they're going to need a lot of explaining. And they have to slow down. We have to get them to slow down and listen to every word of God. And it's the word of God that sets us free, because it's the truth. And only the truth can enlighten us and keep us from stumbling, setting us free. Hello, Javier Ramos. Hello, Honesty Angel. Welcome to tonight's discussion. Hopefully I'll be able to keep it up as long as my battery holds up, which I have to recharge with a solar panel, and if there's no sun I can't recharge it. But anyway, because I'm looking for more battery. I had more batteries, and somehow I lost track of them or didn't bring them or something. I went to go charge them up, and I don't know where they are now. But anyways, but I'm good for the time being. Okay. And the Lord's flock is first chosen as Abel was chosen. You know, Abel was a witness to the truth of God's word. And he basically suffered alone, suffered the consequences for believing in the truth, just much like John the Baptist, who was imprisoned for telling the truth and was killed for hardly any reason at all. Just because he was saying that Herod shouldn't have his brother's wife. But that's the way the world is. The world is a horrible place. They don't like to admit it. Matt Dillahunty today was trying to say how moral he was. He is. And you can't be moral telling lies. You can't say there's fault with God when you're telling lies. So how do you even know what is good or what is true when you don't know or practice what is good and true yourself? So how are you going to judge somebody else if you don't tell the truth? And he's not telling the truth. What's up, this one guy? How you doing?
Doing good. Heading into work.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Everybody keeping safe? Safe from the
Well, it's kind of hard in my line of work, to be honest. I'm on like the front lines, but not really. Like I'm not in the hospital or anything like that. But like I'm a janitor, so like I'm always going through whatever. I'm always cleaning up at the people, and I'm always cleaning high contact points of touch. So yeah, it's like I put myself at risk, but it's whatever. So yeah,
well,
trying to as best as I can.
hopefully you're young and healthy and you'll be able to survive it and at least with God's help we can get through this. Yeah, I'm hiding now myself. I'm 60 years old. I'm in good health, excellent health, no lung problems. I run like 4 miles and things like that, but well, not anymore because I don't go to the gym. But even so, I'm hiding myself from all the calamity of the shutdown could cause. Because we don't know how bad this could get. This could get real bad, and hopefully, it could get a little bit better. Not as bad as what we might expect. But I kind of feel sorry for people in the cities who live in the cities and they have no recourse. They basically have to hold out in their apartment or whatever they have, whatever they are. They can't go to
Yeah.
work, many of them, and they just have to wait for handouts because there's millions of people. I mean, there's lots of people living in cities, and basically they're going to have to rely on the government for handouts. And right now, the kids supposed to be in school, they got to rely on the government for handouts too. Many or a large number of them. So we have to pray for things to get better. Hopefully, this quarantine will slow it down a lot,
Well, the
so
weird
that
thing about it is some places are going to be put underneath martial law, which is odd. Like that, I'm kind of finding out that they're going to be doing that, but in a couple of weeks, I believe the National Guard's going to start going in for some places, some states.
right. right, and it's possible, and because, well, for one thing, they have to keep order, and they don't want the thing to spread any more than it already is, because the thing appears to be very contagious, extremely highly
Well,
contagious.
they're kind of going about it the wrong deal. Like over here, that they're having people wait out line the stores in long lines, and that just does seem counterproductive because you're still having a multitude of people gathering in one area, and now you're doing it outside where these conditions can accumulate faster, and it can
Right,
spread more. So it's actually causing more of a spread, I think, than it is doing good. Than locking people out and only letting a certain amount of individuals in at a time.
right.
I mean,
And
you're just giving it more room to spread.
but what happened in Wuhan is that they had so many people. The population is so great is that it just completely overwhelmed the hospitals, and that's why they had to take the extreme measures that they took, which they are still taking because people are locked in their homes. And who knows how many people are still locked in their homes and they can't even get any food to eat or anything. So it's really, we don't know how bad it is. I mean, and we don't know how bad it's going to get here, too, because it could get really bad here.
Did you hear what happened in Italy
I
about the
heard
lady and about the dead lady?
a lot of people passed away. No, I didn't hear. I haven't seen a
There's
lot. I mean, I have seen, I've been following it pretty closely, but I haven't seen everything.
there was a lady that died in the apartment in the quarantine, and they left her there for 3 days with her family still there.
Right.
Well, this lady
Oh,
died.
yeah. They didn't come pick her up, right?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think I
like,
heard something. Yeah.
it's exactly the same story that I'm talking about. Yeah, and it's like, come on, this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think it's going to get bad here, but hopefully, if we're quarantined, but like you said, people are not really observing the quarantine. But if we quarantine, hopefully, it won't be so bad. But if it passes to everybody in a greater population, it's going to overwhelm the medical system just overnight, just like it did in Italy. In Italy, they're just totally overwhelmed, and they're still overwhelmed, obviously, because they can't even pick up somebody's, you know, lost loved one. And
Yeah, that's crazy.
but
Troubling
even
times.
but in China, there was one video in China of a guy bicycling with a video on the sidewalk, and it was just lined up with bodies on the sidewalks outside, and you know, hopefully it won't come to that here, but you know,
Well, they had to kill off all their livestock as well, if I remember correctly. And so, like,
they,
they were doing mass burnings of the livestock, and everyone's thinking that they're burning human
right.
bodies, but because of all the crows and all
Oh yeah,
that.
that could be. Yeah, that could be true. Yeah, because they did kill off a lot of livestock. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, they thought it was bodies they were burning. It's true.
But yeah, it could very well be bodies, included, and just
Right.
masking it with for all we know, it's kind of spooky. Because
No,
smell of
no,
burning burning corpse, unless it smells like barbecue, then you know it's kind of at least.
no,
But
they were burning bodies. They were burning bodies for a fact. But it's just the question is how many? How
yeah,
many
how
people?
many? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this is never ever happened in known recent memory, human history. I don't even know if the what was it, 1919, the Spanish flu. I don't even know if that was even as bad. I mean, maybe it was, but it seems like this was could be worse if we don't, you know, quarantine and stuff like that. But I'm doing my part. I'm by myself. I'm I'm not talking to anybody. I have food for the next 3 or 4 months or whatever, and I'm just running out in the woods somewhere and having a good time. I'm not.
Dude, I envy that, to be honest. You sound like, oh, I'd be out there with you, dude. I'd be like, let's go, dude. Wood adventures, hell yeah. If I didn't have little ones, I'd totally be doing that as well. I'd be out there.
Yeah, and yeah, it's really pretty nice to be quarantined out in the woods, and you don't have to worry about anything. It's pretty nice, and I don't know. I just think that God just had me prepared because I started out like maybe 4 or 5 years ago collecting camping stuff because I wanted to go camping. But I said to myself, I said, I can't buy it all at once, so I'm just going to buy, stuff sporadically every now and then. So I started buying camping equipment, and when you get into that, then you have to buy more stuff. You have to get everything, for camping, which is a lot of stuff you need. Then you get into the survival stuff, all the making sparks to make a fire, and then you need the survival food, and then so I'm buying the survival food and everything, and then this thing comes, and I said, but what shocked me was when they were burning bodies in China and building the hospitals. When they were building the hospitals, and you know, conditions there were really bad with the doctors and nurses, and you know, having a horrible time. That kind of freaked me out. So I took everything, got everything, and went out in the woods. And I'm here out in the woods at least for a good while. I mean, for a time at least. Hopefully it'll pass in like a month or two, because by then it'll be summertime pretty much. Let's see. Tom Hanks has it. I know him. Was a close person that your friend knows. Okay.
I think it goes out to like, what was it? Like I thought it flourished well in warmer weather than it did colder weather, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to be quarantined in the city, so that's why I went to the woods. I didn't want to be quarantined in the city. I just took off. So I'm trying to follow the chat a little bit. I'm kind of losing track. What'd you say? I'm sorry. This one guy. Can you say?
Oh no, it's fine. I think I was just saying. I think it does better in warmer weather than it does cold weather.
Yeah, that would be a problem if and it probably does just as good. But well, it has to be in order to kill the virus. It has to be real hot. It has to be like up on above 90. It has to be like 100 degrees actually. It's like 100 degrees, and then yeah, it'll kill the virus. But if it, that and that's real hot, and it doesn't really get that hot around these parts. I mean, most it does it, like Arizona, Texas, maybe, but a lot of places in the United States, New Jersey, it doesn't really get that hot. So, especially with a global warming now, it's getting colder and colder all the time.
Yeah.
So, I know celebrities with it, no one else, which is why I'm curious. Well, the celebrities can test and get tested and find out they have it. The problem with us, what do you call us, peoples, uh, the lower lives, we we are at the end of the line as far as getting tested. Unless we get really sick, and then they have to test us.
I guess you would call it the working class.
Yeah, yeah, the working class. I was thinking more as us serfs,
Yeah,
like in the medieval,
serfs. Yeah,
medieval,
yeah. Good point.
medieval.
Technically, I wouldn't be a serf. I'd be a master technically because I technically work for myself. I'm a business owner, so
Oh, see,
I'm a small business owner.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing because you can, work as much as you want, and you can save up too. Which you probably have to do. You
Yeah.
probably have to save up.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, there might be a small case of corona, um, small township near where I live. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, all the schools and everything else they're all shut off over here.
Um,
It's very interesting.
it's it's hard to say that the coronavirus could be a hoax because of how many governments and how many individual places are all telling the same things. They would have to be like have an allegiance to a higher authority to all be saying the same thing like that.
Or
Coming
just
out.
or
It's
just
like
randomly killing people or some weird stuff like that.
because they're finding people all over the United States now. A couple of days ago, it was only West Virginia that didn't have a case, and probably because they don't have testing, or maybe. But it's pretty much of a sure thing because especially the other thing, they wouldn't be shutting down the Wall Street. They wouldn't be shutting down everything like that, NBA and all that stuff. So it's pretty serious, and it's never happened in our lifetime or even before our lifetime. So it's kind of hard to say that it's a hoax, and I wouldn't want to take that chance to be, you know, trying to get it and then get really sick, And hopefully, if I got it, I wouldn't be sick. Hopefully, but because the problem
Yeah,
is
that
when you
would suck
need
if you get it.
the problem is when you need medical intervention. That means you wouldn't survive without it. So, like if it was like back in the days of Spanish flu, you wouldn't survive. And medical intervention is nice, but it's rough too. If you have to have medical intervention, it's really rough. It's a really bad thing. Now, I don't know if I came back on here too soon, but Johnny Miller said he was going to maybe be around to have a discussion, maybe continue our discussion that what didn't go so well when I dropped off, and I don't know if this will be any better here, but hopefully my connection does okay and it doesn't drop out so much. I know my voice is not that great as far as the connection is concerned, but
It's funny. It was doing fine, then you started talking about it, and now it's all crackly.
yeah, maybe now you're noticing it. I didn't touch anything, and I'm trying not to touch anything so that it doesn't drop off or anything. But it's great because the
Don't
other
think bad
day,
vibes. It can pick them up.
because Johnny Miller the other day was still trying to say that everybody has Neanderthal DNA, and I'm trying to say, yeah, but it's not autosomal DNA that I'm talking about. It's a Y chromosome that from Neanderthals that's extinct. He says, "Oh no, everybody, Europeans and Asians have Neanderthal DNA. They just came out of study 5 days ago, and they said everybody has Denisovan DNA and Neanderthal DNA, and it was proved. Yeah, but I'm talking about the Y chromosome, and he still didn't get it, but maybe he does now, because the Y chromosome is the male lineage, so nobody living today has the Y chromosome from Neanderthals, probably because they died in the flood. So the Denisovans and the Neanderthals are probably examples of people who were living before the flood, which happened to be stronger and healthier than us, with a bigger brain capacity than us. And that's probably what people from before the flood look like, at least their branch of the tree, anyway. So,
Well, even in the same sense, it says some of the ones born unto the fallen, the Nephilim, would survive some of the flood afterwards.
well, not that they survived, but they said there were giants after the flood. I don't know if they were necessarily Nephilim, but they were they were giant. Oh, maybe they were called Nephilim, right? But
Hmm.
they were born. They were sons of Noah. They were descendants of Noah, though. I mean, because you can't have half breed humans because because Jesus only dies for humans. And if they were half breed humans, then the blood of Jesus wouldn't cover their sin.
Surprisingly, there could be that claim. The only thing I could think of is other mythology that lays claim to surviving the deluge, as the Great Flood of Noah's time was often called, the Great Deluge, the Great Flood, and like if it wasn't only Noah and the family and everything else was representative of them, you could say that other ethnic backgrounds with a flood story could, in essence, be from the descendants of the Nephilim, or if they were to survive. Some think they also survived through the Canaanites or whatever as well, and then that's why they had to be killed off as well, um,
Yeah.
and
Well,
things like that. But yeah,
even if they were killed off, they would have still had to have been covered by the blood of Jesus, because otherwise there would be sin that's not accounted for, and all sin in God has to be covered. And you can't have half-breed humans sinning and it not being covered by the blood of Jesus, because then you'd have sin that's not covered. But
well, I don't think every sin's covered in that aspect. I think there are some who don't get to enter the gates of heaven. Even there are some who live on the outskirts of heaven. And then those are those who are cast off from heaven, and those who are cast off are the unredeemable. So if they
it'd
can't be
be
redeemed, they can't be allowed within the walls, if that makes sense.
well, you're talking like outside the gates of Jerusalem, outside of Jerusalem, sort of,
Hmm.
right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
in the sense of heaven and all that. Yeah.
yeah. It might be something like that, but that would be more, you know, outside of the dogs, and it'd be like the Gentiles, where there's, weeping and gnashing of teeth. But yeah,
Yeah.
the other point about the Y chromosome is that everybody's present and accounted for. Everybody living today is present and accounted for. We all have a tree that goes back to Noah. And as far as genetic distance, we have a tree of genetic distance, which is three branches of the tree going back to Noah. And we're so unique and different such that we have to we fall in line with one tree or another. We don't have anybody that's outside of the three trees of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Everybody belongs to one tree, one of those three trees, and they have an identity. They identify with being part of those families. So, I was wondering what's going on. My computer was blacking out. I'm good. So yeah, which is really, really interesting to me is that you can test somebody like in Puerto Rico or something. He'll have I think maybe it's even Johnny Miller. He'll have a CY chromosome, and the CY chromosome is the branch that went to the east. So they're Mongolians, they're American Indians, they're Japanese. I mean, the C and the D, but the C's are also Pacific Islanders. The C's are also in like places, even in Australia and such. But they were a lot of the Pacific Island, like the Philippines and stuff. When the Spanish were sailing around back in the day, when the Spanish were sailing around, some of those people went from the Philippines all the way to Puerto Rico. And that's how they got the CY chromosome. So it's really very interesting to me, you know, all of the study of the DNA. And of course, there's a mitochondrial too. You can test, you can follow. Okay. Anything in the chat we're talking about here? H1N1.
Oh, sorry, I'm at work, so yeah. My hands
No,
got
it's okay.
busy.
It's okay. I'm glad you could participate. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's funny how the genetic web it is, right? And how it can be formed like a web. You can see all the strings and everything connecting. Interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. You want to talk to Ronan? he's in the chat if you want. He's a nice guy. Ronan's a nice guy. He's just a little befuddled.
Yeah, I think I've had maybe one or two interactions with them.
Yeah. No, he's all right. It's just that he was trying to say that the A00 was Adam when it's only like a small fraction of atoms. I mean, it's the branch of atoms. A through R is atom, you know, because of the timeline, the evolutionary timeline. They got to try to say that it was African, you know, from Africa. What's up, Ronan? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
That's good. You protected yourself from the pandemic.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you gotta isolate yourself and quarantine yourself and stock. You know, keep yourself stocked up with 4 months of food and stuff.
Well, yes, I've hoarded all of the
The
canned
toilet,
food I can.
the toilet paper too. uh, I got a little bit of toilet paper, but if it runs out, I I don't. I won't. I won't be hurting so bad here out in the woods.
There you go.
Okay, Javier Ramos back. Mitchell, pray for the best, prepare for the worst. Yeah, hopefully we'll get through this okay, and we'll just see in the next because it's likely. I predicted that this at the end of this week it'll probably just explode the whole thing, and but depending on how the quarantines go, maybe it won't be so bad. That's hoping for the best.
Well, the president said it would subside in July and or August.
Yeah, that was early on. He was saying stuff like that, but he was being misinformed. I think they weren't really telling him how severe it was, how bad it was. So I think now he's got a better idea of how bad it is, because they weren't really telling him, you know, the because I knew 4 weeks ago how bad it was because I was watching the internet, and it was enough for me just to take off from work and just go out in the woods. That was it. And it paid off for me. I'm just out in the woods watching things go by, watching things get worse, and it's just so amazing to me. I'm watching it, I'm following it, and I'm thinking, oh, let me see if is it getting better? Is it getting better? And every day it would just get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then Iran exploded, Italy exploded, and it's just getting worse. And it's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse before it gets better. So, because that was really, kind of disappointing how bad it got in Italy, and it's still bad. It's still, they're still having a huge problem. And by the end of this week, well, we should know what kind of problems we have too. And this week and next week, it's probably going to be a repeat of the same thing. But the Koreans, South Koreans, and the other people like Singapore, they really got on top of it and followed every case they could, and did a whole lot of testing, and they were able to isolate and quarantine people, and they have done a really excellent job at keeping the death number down. What is the ROI number? The number of people who die. They've kept it down pretty good. Whereas a lot of the Iran, and Italy, not so well. So Ronan, you're aware that the Y chromosome of Neanderthals is extinct, right?
Well, that's what your map showed. Yeah,
No, I'm talking about the Y chromosome of Neanderthals. That nobody living today has a Y chromosome from Neanderthals. You're aware of that, right?
no. There are people that have. I think it was 2 to 3% Neanderthal. There are
No,
people.
that's what I'm trying to explain to people. That's autosomal DNA. That's not a Y chromosome DNA. There's a difference between the Y chromosome DNA and the autosomal DNA. It's true we have about 3 to maybe 5 or 6% Neanderthal DNA in some populations, but it's autosomal DNA. It's not the Y chromosome, and it's not mtDNA either, as far as I know.
Well, what is it then?
It's autosomal DNA. It's not father to son Y chromosome direct lineage.
Hey, Jungle, I have to get
It's
going.
Okay, so
it's the test. The test you take is the cheapest. The cheapest DNA test is the autosomal DNA.
no, I didn't know that.
Well, that's when you go to take a DNA test. There's three different kinds of tests you can take. You can take the mtDNA test. You can take the autosomal test, which is the cheapest one, like $65 or something or less. And there's the Y chromosome test, which is more expensive. You have to pay like $300 for that one. And it's the Y chromosome from Neanderthal that nobody has today, that's living today. Because they've tested all the populations around the world and nobody has a Y chromosome from Neanderthals. Because they know what the Y chromosome from Neanderthals is. But I would like to see the sequence. I would like to see what that sequence is. I mean, the numbers, yeah. Because when you compare Y chromosome to find out which family you belong to, they're counting the numbers of copies of the same information that we all share. In other words, we all share the same information as humans, but in the Y chromosome, you can tell the father to son lineage because it's only passed through the father and to the son, the Y chromosome. So your Y chromosome you get from your father that he got from his father. So it's a family lineage that you can trace. So they're counting the numbers of copies of the same information that we all share. Of course, you wouldn't be able to do that with chimps because chimps don't have the same information that we have. And their Y chromosome is completely different from ours. Anyway, so that's what the Y chromosome is. It's counting the numbers of copies of DNA that we share, at least through father and son. And so in one set of copies, you might have 10 or 13 or 14 or 20 or 18 or whatever it is. And there's a whole series of numbers of copies of the same information. And you are of the same family as that of the people that you match more closely. In other words, I have about four people. Yeah, I have about 4 people that closely match the numbers of copies that I have in my Y chromosome. The 4 other people, and we happen to have the same genealogy, going back to the same common ancestors, and same common ancestor. And I actually have 2 lines going back to that common ancestor, which is another story. Anyway, because one of my great-great-grandparents married another person with the same name, which happened to be of the same family going way back, but he may or may not have known that it was from the same family. So if you make fun of me, maybe you can make fun of me for that.
Well, I do understand that a percentage of people have Neanderthal DNA. Okay, so that just proves
Right.
that there were more lineages of
But
Homo, 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 but
Well,
it,
it proves they're human. It proves that Neanderthals are human. Yeah.
well, yeah, yeah. So like I said, but it's one of those things that both of us and others, right? We all are related to apes.
Oh, Neanderthals are not troglodytes.
A troglodyte is a person that was a cave dweller.
No, the pan troglodyte is a chimp. It's a pan, that's a that's a troglodyte. The pan troglodyte is a chimpanzee.
Um, well, not all humans, evolved to the point where they lived in caves. Some of them lived like,
But that's irrelevant though. We're talking about DNA, which is lineage, ancestral lineage. And you're right that we do have autosomal DNA, a small amount of it, at least us Europeans and Asians do, which also disproves the out of Africa theory too, because the Africans don't have it.
well, that no, but the Neanderthal mixed with a Homo sapien came
So,
after.
so let me explain how we got it. We got the Neanderthal DNA from the wife of Japheth. We didn't get it from Noah's family. We got it from the wife of Japheth. That's how we got Neanderthal DNA, because the wife of Japheth was related to Neanderthals.
Okay. Oh,
That's how we got the certain percentage of Neanderthal DNA.
that one branch, right from.
Because the reason I say that is because Japheth, the family of Japheth, went north according to the records that we have. And if you go north, that would be the Europeans and of course, the Russians and the Asians. But when you look at the Y chromosome of Europeans and Asians, it really is the same family, because it's in Europe you have the R Y chromosome, and in Asia you have the Q, and also in the Americas you have the QY chromosome, which are closely related. You know they're closely related because it's OPQR. So the Q and the R are closely related. They're really the same family of Japheth that went north. So the majority, the vast percentage of the population were Japhethites who went north. Of course, now they're mixed with the Semitic population went north, and the lost tribes of Israel went north too. So they mixed into the European population to make the European population what it is. That's different. That's looks different than the Asians. But if you look closely at the body type, it's really not that much different than the Asian body type. And Mitchell says we're not related to apes. And given a needed type of
Well, science has proved it to me. Just saying that it's not true is not evidence. So, what evidence? I asked Mitchell, and I'm asking you, what evidence do you have?
for what?
Huh?
For what? What evidence do we have for what?
To show that we are not related to apes.
Oh, there's lots of evidence, because apes have information. Remember when I was saying we compare the Y chromosome by the numbers of copies that we all share? So
Yep.
we're counting the numbers of copies of the same information that all humans share. You can't do that with chimps, because they have information that we don't have, and we have information that they don't have. So that proves we're not related to chimps.
Well, that's not really explaining anything. Do you have a link or
Did
something?
you understand? Did you understand what I said? Though?
Well,
It's
yeah,
just that They have written instructions in their DNA that we don't have, and we have written instructions, vast amounts of written instructions that the chimps don't have. They are ordered to be chimps. We are ordered to be humans. So we are not from the same tree. We have different information. You can't get written instructions that aren't there. They can't get our instructions, and we can't get their instructions. There are two different sets of instructions. So they are their kind, and we are our kind.
Okay, with that,
And it's DNA that proves it. And the scientists have been lying to you
they've been
because they're not genuine. They're very disingenuous.
okay. So whether they've been lying to me or not, the fact is that what scientists have established is taught in schools. So the whole idea, if science is wrong, then fine, but that's what we are being taught in schools.
Right, and that's why you're so confused about it, is because you weren't taught the Bible, you were taught some fantasy of evolution. The Bible is real history, and evolution is a fantasy.
How so? If science can explain it,
No, science is what you can know, and you can't know that any evolution ever happens. You can't know of how you get instruction that's not there because it doesn't happen. That would be magic.
well, no, that was developing over billions of years. That's science has established that. So
Billions of years with a sprinkling of fairy dust. Yeah, and
no,
you can't have billions of years. The Earth is not billions of years old because 50 million years would have washed all the sediment layers into the ocean from Noah's flood, and it's still there. So there's not hundreds of millions of years, and there's not billions of years because all those sediments would have been washed away, and they're consecutive layers over a mile deep.
but we discussed that. You showed an actual graph of
Consecutive layers of water deposited sediments everywhere around the world over a mile deep. They would have all washed away in 50 million years.
no.
At the current rate of erosion. At the current rate of erosion, they wouldn't be here anymore.
Well, washed away to where or what?
Into the ocean, which is another thing. There's no sediment layers in the ocean. How do you explain that?
Because that's where. Have you ever heard of like the Ring of Fire or tectonic plates?
Yeah, tectonic plates. It renews the ocean floor. Renews the ocean floor.
Okay,
But
so that's where there are no layers in the ocean.
it all gets subducted. Yeah.
Well,
but still, if it was millions of years old, there would still be layers there because it doesn't move that fast today.
no, it doesn't. That's why it takes billions of years.
Yeah, but there are no layers on the ocean floor, though. There's mud layers, but there's no sediment layers like what we see on land.
Well, you showed a graph of the geological column.
Yeah.
And those different strata there indicate, well, those are layers.
And you think that there are hundreds of millions of years between the layers when 50 million years would have washed them all away.
Well, that's what your information showed.
No, not my information. It's not information if it's not true.
Well, then
It's disinformation.
You were displaying misinformation.
It's disinformation. I'm showing how and why it's disinformation.
You didn't say that.
No, you didn't understand that's what I was saying.
No, I understood clearly.
Because I said many, many times that I'm showing why it's not true. I'm showing why what they claim is not true. It's disinformation.
But okay, but you were presenting it as fact.
No, I wasn't. I was
Well,
showing why it wasn't fact. I was showing why it wasn't fact. I was saying this says this, but it's not true. It's this. The layers, the layers being there are true. It's true. There are layers, but they're water deposited sediment layers over a mile deep, and they would have all been washed away in 50 million years.
no, that's not. No, I disagree. I'll just put it that way then, because the information you were showing us, you even pointed out it was in tens
No,
of billions of years,
this disinformation, and it's a lie, and that's exactly what I'm pointing out as being a lie, and I'm explaining why it is a lie. It's just that you don't want to accept that it is a lie. You don't want to accept that it's wrong information.
You're not. You put it this way: you're not presenting a convincing argument.
No, you just want to believe it's true. You just want to believe it's true without any reason or rationale. You don't have any rationale.
No. Again, science.
Where is your rationale? No, science didn't explain anything because science is what you can know, and you can know it's not hundreds of millions of years.
No, but that's put it this way: I accept what science is saying because what
science
all you're doing is naysaying. And
science doesn't say anything. Science presents the facts, and you look at the facts and see how things fit together, whether or not something is true or not. And you can see that the claim of hundreds of millions of years is not true because it would have washed all the sediments into the ocean.
But there was some left over, and that's obviously existent.
The ones left over would not be there. They would all be in the ocean.
Well,
and of course, like you say, there's subduction. With subduction, there would be, igneous rock to replace it. But that's igneous rock and probably a little bit of erosion from the igneous rock in different places, but they wouldn't be huge sediment layers extending for hundreds of miles, almost covering continents. They wouldn't be that extensive. And they wouldn't be consecutive water deposited sediment layers over a mile deep around the world, everywhere around the world either. Because right now we see igneous rock poking up through in some places. But most of the world is covered with sediment layers over a mile deep that are water deposited sediment layers that would have been washed away in 50 million years. So right there, you know that you're being lied to, you're being given bad information, and you shouldn't believe a word they say. You should believe the actual real word of history found in the Bible, which has been verified through archaeology and other historical facts.
Again, on your say-so, okay, that's something. That's just an opinion. But do you have actual evidence? That's what you cannot provide.
Evidence for what?
For anything that you say.
No. Be specific. You have to be specific.
Okay, the geologic column. You saying it was done in a flood. I'm saying it was done over, again, billions of years.
It was done. Right. I already explained it. It was done in the flood because they're consecutive water deposited sediments over a mile deep everywhere around the world.
Okay.
That's the evidence. That's the evidence. There is no evidence to the contrary.
Yes, there is. Science, put it this way. If you can prove science wrong, they will accept that.
That is science. That is science. It's what you can know. You can know that there's over 130 million cubic miles of water deposited sediments everywhere around the world that are over a mile deep, with examples of living animals that were living at the time of the global flood. That is the evidence. That's the scientific evidence. That's what you can know.
Well, no, because that's you sourced it from one book. Science.
No, I'm talking about geology. I'm telling you straight what the geology is.
Well, no, I can reference or uh, uh, give you a source for the actual science in geology if you want. But again, you're not going to be.
Can you tell me the volume of the sediment layers around the world?
No, but I can find out. But that's just it.
No,
What you're
can't
saying.
find. Nobody has the volume of the sediment layers. There is. You can search Google night and day. You'll never find the volume of the sediment layers around the world because they're not interested in that fact.
Well, no. I'm sure the information is out there because you're asking.
It is out there. It is out there. I mean, there are people that know what it is, but they don't teach it. They don't have it in books. They don't have it online. You can't. It's not something you can search in Google. But it is true that there's over 100 million cubic miles of water deposited sediment around the world, with examples of what was living at the time of the global flood of Noah.
Okay, but again, that's just one opinion. If it were peer reviewed, would it
It is peer reviewed.
Where could you cite sources?
It's the volume. It's the volume of the sediment layers, and
Yes,
the consecutive water deposited layers everywhere around the world over a mile deep, with examples of what was living at the time they were buried by the global flood of Noah.
again, do you have citations besides your base reference?
No, it's history. It's a part of human history. It's known
Okay,
human
well,
history.
okay,
Civilization began 5,000 years ago.
okay. No, again, you don't have evidence. That's an opinion. You're just saying because, and that's not really an explanation. Science wants a detailed,
What
explanation.
evidence do you have? What evidence do you have to present? What history do you have? What calendar do you have? What geological evidence do you have?
Well, put it this way: you provided the evidence by showing that graph of the geological column,
Which was disinformation.
but you presented it as fact.
No, I didn't. I presented, the layers of fact, the consecutive, and they're all. You saw that there were consecutive layers, right? One on top of the other. You can see that, right?
Well, yes, but again, that takes tens of millions of years or hundreds of millions of years.
But there was no erosion between the layers, though. How do you explain no erosion between the layers?
No, that was left over. It's like the Grand Canyon. It's got two walls. Obviously on either side of the river that cut the Grand Canyon, and you see all those different layers.
Yeah, which are consecutive water deposited sediment layers deposited by the global flood.
Okay, but that's put it this way, that's just a separate opinion or perspective. It's not actual science, because
No,
science just, it doesn't go by one source, right? It's peer reviewed. Other experts in the field compare what's being presented with what's established.
what is established? What's established?
The science.
What science is established?
that those layers were produced over tens or hundreds of millions of years, because that's the image you showed us and you pointed it out. And then on the other hand, you say the Earth is only, or we've existed only 6,000 years, but the evidence you were showing us, it was indicating that it was tens or hundreds of millions of years.
No, I showed you that that what the claim was, and that it doesn't make sense.
Well, put it this way: if you had any foundation that could be tested, science would look at it. But all you have is an opinion based on one source.
No, I'll tell you why they won't look at it. They won't look at it because they are trying to push a different narrative. They don't want you to know that there was a global flood or that there was a creator.
Again, science does not look at anything that cannot be observed.
They do all the time. They do all the time.
No.
They're saying chimps and humans are related when chimps have their own information that we don't have, and we have information that chimps don't have.
Yes, but that's a small percentage overall.
No, it's not a small percentage. It's something like 30%.
Okay, that's still not accounting for the 70% that does match up. So we're similar.
But then when you go to match the things up, they don't line up anyway. Of course,
Well, no, they wouldn't line up 100%.
No, the whole thing is they're giving you a story.
No, but that's the accepted story. That's
No, it's not.
what
It's
that's
not an
what
accepted story.
that's what science is going with until something can be proven wrong. Then they'll change it.
No, I'm giving you what the science is.
No, it's not me. You have to convince. You have to convince science.
No,
Yeah.
I have to convince you because you've been deluded by them. I don't have to convince them because they know that they're lying through their teeth.
But again, I accept what science has shown me.
You accept their lies.
No. Science explains it to me. You have an opinion.
No, I have the evidence that I just laid out for you, and you didn't lay out.
That's an opinion.
You didn't lay out any information. Where's your evidence? Where's your information? All you do is attack.
You provided it again.
All you do is attack the facts that we have.
You provided the image of the geological column, and you pointed out where it said tens of millions or hundreds of millions of years. You provided that information, but you're saying, well, they're showing you the wrong stuff. But that's what you showed us. Yeah, it was Johnny. Yeah, it was Johnny. I forget his last name.
It just happens that you have to use whatever you have to explain things. And since there's a map that shows, the map was very useful. The only thing that was wrong with the map of the atom A00 was the atom A00. The rest of the map was fine. It's just that they want you to believe that somebody they tested today is Adam, when he's on the tip of a family tree branch that nobody descended from. Nobody in the world descended from that guy they said was Adam. Nobody. You have to understand that they're lying through their teeth, and they want you to believe it. They're giving you a snow job.
But you're not offering a counter argument that's acceptable.
I just did.
No, that's your
Adam.
opinion.
Adam is not A00. Adam is A through R. Adam is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R. That's Adam. That's Noah, actually.
Yes, but what I'm trying to explain to you,
He dropped off. How did he drop off? I don't know how he dropped off. I don't know how or why he dropped off here. I got animals visiting me. There's all kinds of animals. There's gray foxes, there's raccoons, there's all kind of stuff. And they're very curious. Yeah, he's scared. What about the Oort cloud? Have you observed the multiverse generator? Yeah, they don't have anything. They don't have any science. What do you mean science? Science. We're the ones that have the science. We're the ones that have the knowledge. We're the ones who know the truth, can tell you the truth, who can explain everything. It's like Paul said, you know all things. Or John says, you know all things, even though you know all things. We're the ones that have the information. They don't have any information. They don't have any science. Evolution is not science. It's fantasy. It's billions of years with a sprinkling of fairy dust. Magic. You have to have magic because you can't have. It doesn't matter how many years you have. You're still not going to generate written instruction that's not there. You could have millions of years, billions of years, trillions of years. You're still not going to have it. You have to have some sprinkling of fairy dust, which is not science. It doesn't exist. The naturalism doesn't. Nature can't even explain its own self. Nature doesn't explain nature. You have to always have something outside. Nothing can make itself. Nothing can direct itself. Everything that you see is evidence of God. There wouldn't be anything without a creator because everything requires power. Everything is power. Every physical thing, all the elements is bound up energy like two magnets that are stuck together, and which requires energy. It's bound up energy that requires a greater amount of energy. You can't get something from lesser energy. You can't get something from an equal amount of energy. It has to come from a greater amount of energy. Johnny Miller's here. Oh, Johnny Miller's here. Okay. Here we go. All right. Let me put this in here so you can see it easily. And there we go. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm fighting off the wild animals here, but I'm doing okay, I think. But my favorite animal is the gray fox. The gray fox, when I was, didn't know anything about it, I was saying, well, why is there a red fox and a gray fox? They both look like foxes. They're both foxes, right? One looks red too. They both look red. Why is there a gray fox and a red fox? What's the difference? Turns out that the gray fox is not nocturnal, and the gray fox can do things like climb trees. And I have gray foxes around here, and of course they're curious. They're just like anything else, any other kind of fox or dog or whatever it is. So Johnny Miller can join if you would like, or if you get it whenever you get a chance. Okay, Ronan opted out of the conversation. He fell out for some reason. Maybe his phone went dead. I don't know. Looks like he opted out. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of fell out. I think maybe his phone was going dead or something. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, it's just everything is evidence of God. I don't know how anybody can, deny the evidence. I actually saw a scientist one time, so a quote unquote scientist, a professor, some kind of professor or scientist or whatever. He was actually saying that everything goes from order to disorder, except on very, very rare occasion, it'll bunch itself up. I saw a flash of something. Here we go. What's this? Converse. There we go. Carnivorous ape. Okay. So this professor was actually denying the law of thermodynamics. He was saying that, well, every once in a while, that there could be something. Uh-oh. I think I'm having trouble. Maybe, maybe you'll have to just use a avatar, or yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And you might have to disconnect. Did you disconnect? Okay. Lower the volume. I'm still hearing the feedback. Still got some feedback. Yeah, you got some feedback, Carnivorous Ape. Johnny Miller, whoever you.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay. You good? Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, that's better.
Almost. It's better, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I've got my 3D printer going off in the background. It's in the middle of a 66-hour print.
Oh. Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it is. All right. So hopefully this conversation will go better than the other one we had at Modern Day Debate that James castigated me for.
Oh yeah, I got crap from that from Converse too.
Yeah. Well, it's like you can't have sympathy for the more unfortunate people. It's like you gotta be mean to them and stuff. You can only do what you can do. Like But anyway,
Okay.
maybe I want to see if I can get that. I want to see if I can get that thing from James and see if I can upload it on this channel. Okay. I don't know. Still get some feedback.
I can't turn my volume down much more.
All right. You want to go ahead and did you have something that you want to clarify from the discussion we had with James?
Yeah, Mitchell, I understand there's a little bit of feedback. I've got my 3D printer going off. That's what you guys are hearing. Okay. The thing that you need to understand. What?
That's a 3D printer.
Huh?
Oh, it is a 3D. It is a 3D printer.
Yeah, it's going nuts in the background. Hang on just a second, though. My kid just walked in.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that.
The thing I need to understand.
Okay, the thing that I'm trying to figure out is why you are absolutely desperate for evolution to be imaginary.
I'm not desperate because all the information's on our side.
Except for 98% of scientists, the majority of which are Christian, accept evolution.
No, I need to see evidence, not he said, she said, or appeal to authority or appeal to people who say they know. No appeals to people who think they know something without evidence. I have to see evidence. So you
Okay.
have to address the evidence.
See, the issue I have, because I don't have an issue that you're Christian. I have an issue that you flat out deny reality.
But that's not a point of my argument. My point
No,
of argument is not that I'm a Christian. Has nothing to do with it.
no. The entire point of your argument is the fact that you rely so much on this one book that has proven falsehoods in it to give you details about reality.
No, but I'm not even talking about what the book says. I'm talking about what the evidence is.
Okay, you're talking about what the book says that the evidence is. Okay, it's not
Well,
what the evidence is, because there's
well,
no evidence showing that except for in that
well,
book.
except that history is evidence, though. That's the thing.
Okay, and that book is not history. That book is literally piecemeal fairy tales taken from earlier religions.
That's what you have been told. You've been misled, and you would have to study it and know it before you try to say something about it.
Rabbinical scholars, are you aware that there are people that literally study the archaeology of the Bible?
The archaeology proves the Bible.
Really? Then why do rabbinical scholars say that the entire Noah's flood story in the first place comes from the Sumerian flood story, which is over 1,000 years older in the Epic of Gilgamesh?
But there you go, saying that so and so said so. You're not presenting evidence.
No, you're trying to present this evidence as though it were the oldest religion in the world, and it's not.
No, it is evident. The Bible is historical. It's proved, backed up by archaeology. It is evidence. Now, you would have to have a history other than what the Bible says.
Yeah,
Where is your historical evidence? Where is your archaeology? Where are your calendars? Where is your genealogies? Where is your historical fact?
okay. Are you aware that Julius Caesar and all the other, very popular Greek and Roman philosophers show absolutely nothing in that one Bible that says that they existed, but yet we have mountains much more evidence for those people than we do Jesus Christ.
They don't have to, and what you said is not true. We have more evidence for Jesus than those people.
Really? Okay, so let's say Julius Caesar. I mean, hell, he's 50 years older than Jesus. So where are the busts of Jesus? Where are the coins stamped with Jesus' face on them?
You don't have to have that.
Where are the handwritten letters? You said there was more evidence for Jesus than there was Julius Caesar.
We do have the handwritten letters about him, yeah. But
No, I'm talking about the handwritten letters of Jesus.
Of Jesus, but
We
what if he
have
didn't?
handwritten letters of Julius Caesar to his generals.
Well, his handwritten letters were the 12 apostles. Those were his letters.
No, those were not his letters. Those were letters written by Jesus for him.
Because he wrote his word in their hearts, and they took his word to the whole world.
And is that physical evidence?
Yes.
How?
Because we have.
What is the mechanism for writing on somebody's heart?
We have Christian teaching from Thomas in India. We have Christian teaching all the way through Spain from Paul. We have even the Joseph of Arimathea settling in England. We have a lot of stuff. I mean, and I don't know what the problem is, because Abraham was a Sumerian from a Sumerian city. And that goes back before Moses. Abraham was 10 generations from Noah. He's from the Semite family, from Shem, who was the Shemite family. And he Egyptians are from the Hamite family, along with the Canaanites, and the Japhethite family. The Japhethites went north into Europe and Asia, and they're represented by the R chromosome and the Q chromosome, which is the same family.
Okay, now I have a question for you because this is something that I asked G-Man that he tried to dodge majorly. Okay, if it could be proven conclusively to you that evolution existed, would you no longer be a Christian?
First thing, you can't prove it,
No,
but
no, 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 no. I don't care. I'm talking hypothetical. Okay,
but it
If
doesn't.
If it could be proven.
But no, but you would have to first prove it and then see what my reaction would be.
Okay, so you're going to dodge the question just like G-Man did. Okay.
No, because it's irrelevant. It doesn't even the question is meaningless
No, this is
because you can't prove it, because you first have to prove it, and then you could see what my reaction is. But since you can't prove it, then I'm not even worried about it.
See, this is the fundamentalism that I have issues with. Okay, you're so intellectually dishonest with yourself that you can't admit.
No. It's not dishonesty because you never proved evolution.
Okay, and you've never proven the Bible. So why the hell should I take the Bible as word for anything?
I did prove it with archaeology, with calendars, with genealogies, and known human history. And even the Y chromosome and DNA chromosomes, and mtDNA families. Both the paternal and the maternal lineages.
Would you like me to go find that paper that I was citing the other day, the one that came out March 9th? A week ago.
About the Neanderthal DNA, we know we have the Neanderthal DNA, but that's autosomal. That's not Y chromosome.
No. This is a new paper that came out a week ago that is literally Neanderthal and Denisovian Y chromosome.
Denisovan Y chromosome, yeah. But nobody living today has it though.
No, but we have tracked it.
Well, you've identified it, but nobody living today has it. That's the whole problem, because they're probably people that died in the flood. Because they're not descended from Noah's 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Honesty, Angel, I'm saying that you need mountains of more evidence to convince me Jesus was a real person, much less that he was the Son of God.
Well, only the Son of God can be our Savior. Only the Son of God can cover for our sins. Nobody else can. No man of sin can cover for our sins, because it's an imperfect provision, imperfect punishment or payment.
Yeah, and isn't that kind of like confirmation bias? Man, this guy just happened to exist right here, and he claimed to be the Son of God. Therefore, he must be the Son of God.
No, but there was, when Genesis was written thousands of years before Jesus was born.
It was written 500 years before he was born.
No, you don't know that.
Yes, I do, actually. There are people that literally study the archaeology of the Bible, and the oldest book of the Bible is the book of Job, and that was written 500 AD.
They're talking about copies. The oldest copies they have. The oldest copy is not when it was written.
No, that is the oldest written text that they found.
The oldest written text that they found. Those are copies. That's not the original copy. Those are copies of copies of copies.
You guys are claiming that Noah was the one who wrote the first few books of Genesis.
No,
How the hell is that possible?
Moses. Moses compiled the Genesis and the first 5 books.
Mitchell, I've been dealing with jungle for the last couple of months, so either come on here and attempt to calm me down now, or you can ignore me.
So, yeah, Moses is not Noah. Moses compiled the records of Genesis and the 5 books of Moses.
Really, does that include the scripture that happened after his death?
Yeah, he compiled it. He and or
He compiled
Joshua.
it after his death. How does that work?
Maybe it was Joshua that helped Noah compile it. I mean Moses. Yeah, Moses
Oh,
compiled it.
so that's that right there is a false claim then, because obviously if Moses didn't write all
But
5 books,
but the Bible doesn't say that it was written by Moses. Those are just considered the books of Moses, but they know that he didn't narrate his own death.
no, not only did he supposedly narrate his own death, he actually narrated stuff that happened after his death.
Right.
So
they're attributed. They attributed, the rabbis attributed it to Moses, and that's not a problem with the content. It has nothing. It doesn't call into question the content.
It calls into question the author.
No,
Obviously Moses wasn't the author.
But the Bible doesn't say Moses wrote it or compiled it all. It's just a tradition that it's attributed to Moses. And most of it is attributed to Moses, at least, what Moses said and stuff. And he compiled the other books. And that's not the problem. The problem is that we have written instructions that order us to be a human, to make us human, and chimps have a different set of instruction with different information for them to be a different animal. That's what the problem is. That means everything has a creator.
Okay, are you aware of what endogenous retroviruses are? ERVs.
Yeah, but that's an old argument. It's not used very much.
No, the reason why it's not used very much is because it was literally a proof, and your entire community has basically said, no, that's not evidence.
If it's a proof, then they would still be using it to prove it.
It is still being used.
They don't use it.
It is still being used.
It's still being used because they never retracted it.
No, because it's a good marker.
If you had this, why doesn't Richard Dawkins bring it up with John Lennox or somebody? Because he knows that it's not going to fly. He knows it's not going to fly.
I mean, hell, Erica brought it up the other day against Kent Hovind, and good God, did you hear?
And it still doesn't. And it still didn't fly because it doesn't. It doesn't even match up. I mean,
no, because when Kent Hovind hears the word ERVs, it's always, I'm not prepared for that.
No, because
did you see his debate against conspiracy cats?
But how do you even know it's an ERV? What if
an endogenous retrovirus literally imprints its own DNA? We
slow down and listen to it a little bit. It's a code. What if it's the RV that is a rogue information? What if it's the ERV that's a rogue information?
That is what an ERV is, okay? It attacks junk DNA and leaves an imprint that is passed down to our children.
Well, of course it attacks because it's rogue information. It's changed, altered information that attacks the DNA.
Okay. The thing is that DNA is passed to our children.
But that has nothing to do with the written instruction that orders us to be a human. And
do you not understand the concept that they are?
And you realize you changed the subject, right? Chimps have information that orders them to be.
Oh, I'm getting back to chimps. I'm getting back to chimps. Okay, I'm trying to get you to acknowledge that ERVs pass genetic information to us, to our children.
Yeah, and they can fall in some of the same places. And apparently they
Oh.
do fall in the same places.
Okay, so you do acknowledge that.
And
That there
but
are
that it's a bad I'm trying to tell you it's a bad argument that I don't even pay attention to it. Because they
Why?
don't even use it. They don't even use it as a proof anymore.
Yeah, they do. It's still a proof in genetic testing.
Hold on a second. I gotta fix my earphones. Kind of messed up. Okay. I mess around with stuff here. Okay. Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't disprove the fact that we were ordered to be humans and chimps were ordered to be chimps.
No, but you seem to have this huge disconnect on the fact that you're still an animal.
No, we're not supposed to be animals. We're made
Are
to
you
be
a
humans.
vegetable or a mineral?
We were made to be humans to take care of the animals.
Okay, do you understand what the difference is between vegetables, minerals, and animals? Those are the three classifications of organisms on this planet.
That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant
No, it is not irrelevant.
because we have different instructions to be a different kind of a creation. And see, if you don't understand that we're a creation, you're going to have problems understanding biology because biology is specific things for specific reasons.
Which is the heart of biology is literally the theory of evolution, and I don't see how you don't understand that.
No, you're spouting parrot talk of what you were told, and
No.
it's not what the facts are.
Really? Okay,
Because-
so why are we not looking for priests to cure the coronavirus?
Why are you not looking?
Maybe it's because we know that virus has evolved, and
Why are you
are
not
actually
looking for
at the
what?
scientists to look for vaccines.
Why are you not looking for what?
Who is working on curing this coronavirus?
Everybody is.
Yeah, scientists.
It doesn't prove
Mecca has
evolution.
shut down. The Vatican is shut down.
It doesn't prove evolution.
No, it proves that they know that the scientists are right in the fact that this coronavirus has evolved and needs a new vaccine. Otherwise, we'd just be using the old one.
Well, the old one, there was no vaccine for the other SARS. This is SARS 2.
This is not
SARS
SARS.
1. They never made a vaccine for SARS 1, and they don't have a vaccine for SARS 2 yet.
This is not SARS. This is COVID. It's a completely different bacteria.
It's
Or it's a
SARS
completely
2.
different virus.
COVID is the WHO label. It's not.
No, this is
It's-
COVID-19. This is an animal virus that transferred to humans.
It's
This
a
is like HIV.
coronavirus. It's a coronavirus SARS 2. It's actually named SARS 2. Go look it up. COVID is the name that the World Health Organization put on it. And nobody's calling it COVID-19. Everybody's calling it coronavirus anyway.
Nobody is calling it COVID-19, really.
Well, the general public, they're calling it coronavirus. The name is not sticking. And
Let's
you
see.
have
Quick Google
I
search.
listen to scientists who are calling it SARS-2, not COVID-19. Yeah. See,
Really? Okay.
they have a lot of disinformation. You know, I'm frustrated. I'm not so frustrated with Carnivorous Ape as I am the people that brainwash him and tell him lies. You know, knowingly that they're putting out bad information, saying that chimps are 98% like humans when it's a flat out lie.
Okay. So are you seeing my screen?
What? What'd you say?
I said, are you seeing my screen right now?
It's not coming up yet, but go ahead. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I don't. It might knock me off the thing stream here. All right, go ahead.
It's just a simple screen share, and all I typed in Google was coronavirus name. And oh my God, look, COVID-19.
That's what the World Health Organization named it. So what? Everybody's calling it coronavirus, and the scientists are calling it SARS-2 because that's what it is. There was SARS-1, and this is SARS-2. And that's what people have to understand, that it's SARS-2 too. But they didn't want to scare people. They called it something. They called it COVID-19, because they didn't want people to be scared that it was SARS. But it is SARS-2. That's what it is. And it's doing a lot of damage. And there's conspiracy believers that think that it was genetically modified or altered to cause this pandemic.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're looking at conspiracy theories, I mean, hell,
Whether
there's one that was perpetrated by Fox News. There was a millennial.
whether it is or not, it's SARS-2. There was SARS-1. This is SARS-2. And it doesn't disprove evolution.
No,
I mean,
it proves it.
It doesn't prove evolution. It doesn't disprove creation. It doesn't disprove the fact that we were ordered to be humans and chimps were ordered to be chimps. And you have to come up with some evidence, and you don't have any evidence for evolution. All you have is
it's not that we don't have any evidence because we have mountains of it. It's you don't accept any evidence. That's the problem.
no. It's that every claim of evolution is always disproved. So you don't have any.
Because every claim of that's because every claim that you've ever heard of evolution doesn't match up with the Bible, which means that it's false to you.
No, because it's disproved.
You
It's a false. It's a false claim. It's disproved. Every claim that was ever made in my 60 years of living has been disproved. And if they're claiming something new,
better than you do.
And if they're claiming something new now, it's going to be disproved again.
No, it's because all the claims have already been made to have already made the theory of evolution a fact. Okay, if you don't put your God in the gap that we have for abiogenesis, because that is not a theory yet.
But I didn't say anything about God. The junk DNA that was a claim has been disproved. It's not junk. It's essential. You remember? Do you remember that? Do you remember the claim of junk DNA? Or do you care to acknowledge it? Do you care to?
The colloquial term is still.
Do you care to acknowledge that it was a lie? The claim of junk DNA was disproved. It's a lie. Do you care to acknowledge the truth? Well, see, that's what the problem is. It's that you don't have any evidence. Every claim you make is always disproved.
No, every claim that we make is always
disproved.
Blasted over by garbage from you guys. Okay, that's
disproved the issue. By known facts. Known facts disprove your belief in mythological evolution and fantasy evolution. Your sprinkling of fairy dust evolution. What's up, Wild Heart? How you doing? The BBC, I don't like the BBC so much. I mean, I watch it once in a while, but to me that's propaganda too. BBC.
And see, the major issue I have is the simple fact that you guys have. Okay.
No, just present some evidence. Just present some evidence for evolution.
I have. If you were to have a child, would that child be the exact carbon copy of you?
It's a recombination of the same information of me. Yes.
No, it is a change in allele frequency. Oh my God, there's the definition of evolution right there.
No,
Between you and your wife,
there's
or whoever you decide to have
mistakes.
a child
Yeah,
with.
but what is my wife? What is my wife? She would be the same human. You know, when I say you compare the Y chromosomes, you're comparing different numbers of copies of the same information. So when you compare DNA from one human to the other, what you're doing is you're comparing the different numbers of copies of the same information.
Okay. The
It's
thing
not it's
is
not
there
as
is.
complicated as you're going to make it.
Do you accept microevolution?
No, there is no evolution. There's adaptation. There's a response to the environment, and
Okay,
there's
so it's your opinion that dogs and wolves have never been the same species before.
no. Why do you want to put that in my mouth? Why do you want to make me say
Because
that?
that's the
I didn't
standard
say that.
definition of microevolution. Is wolves have
I
become
didn't
dogs.
say anything like that.
So
Well, except
therefore,
that we still have wolves.
do you accept microevolution?
No, it's semantics. Microevolution is semantics. There is no evolution.
No, I completely agree that microevolution is semantics because the difference between micro and macroevolution is the billions of years,
Which haven't been proven.
which
Which
have been
we
proven with the geological record.
no, because 50 million years would have washed all the sediment layers into the ocean. What's up, Incognito? What's up? See, so many claims, so many lies, back to back, since you were a child, has brainwashed you into believing that you can get written instructions that aren't there. Billions of bits of written instruction that appeared with fairy dust.
No, see, you know what actually happened with me is I was kicked out of Sunday school for asking too many questions. When I talked to a scientist, on the other hand,
That's
they actually
irrelevant.
answered my questions.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant whether or not they knew how to give you the answer or not doesn't mean that evolution is true. You have to present evidence of evolution. You have zero evidence of evolution. You have nothing. All the evidence is of intent and purpose. That's what the evidence is in your face.
Well, the
You
only
can't
thing
even have, listen, you can't even have energy without a greater source of energy. You can't have anything without an infinite potential who is God.
Really, I can't have anything without an
You
infinite.
can't have anything because everything is energy, which requires a greater source of energy.
I mean, even the same.
So none of your claims are true. Everything is a lie. Everything that we're saying is true. It's always been true. And whether people understood or
Well,
not, it's always been true. Go ahead, one guy.
I would say some of us, what we say, not everybody, because there are those who are misled and go on their own path. So not everyone that claims under the name of God is correct. Because there
That's what
are
I'm
those
saying.
who.
Whether or not they know how to explain it or not doesn't mean that there is evolution.
Well, I guess it all. I mean, someone can easily say that the first account of Genesis of creation is explaining evolution, and then the second hand's just talking about man's creation in a different sense. The second chapter of Genesis. It's just
Yeah, but that's
Is that the weird rationalizing for theistic evolution?
that's
I'm actually
the
curious about that.
second. You can look at the second book of Genesis. I mean, the second chapter of Genesis. That to me looks like a different creation account. It doesn't disprove the first creation account.
it just adds on to man's point of
But
view. That's all it
it
does.
it amplifies it.
I don't know if
Yeah,
it does. I don't know if it is the theological. I'm not. I'm just a simpleton Christian. If
but
that.
it
So
doesn't
yeah.
take away. It's a different narrative. It's a different kind of narrative. To me, it's a different record of the same account.
And so were birds created on day 5 or 6?
No, it's
It's okay. The
the
correct answer is yes.
no, the day after day account is in chapter 1, not chapter 2. The day by day creation is very clear which was made on what day. Chapter 2 is a different kind of record.
Well, chapter 2 is a secondary creation where all the animals were created after Adam.
No, it's not. It's not a day by day written account of creation. It's a different kind of
Actually,
narrative.
that's literally the apologetic for it. Is the fact that chapter 2 is just the focusing in on day 6.
No, it's a different kind of narrative. It's not. It's not in succession. It's not like that. It's not
Well,
like chapter 1. It's a different
whole
kind of
thing-
narrative
The whole thing about it is
altogether.
the days of creation aren't by any means supposed to be taken as
And it still
days
doesn't
of men.
change any of the facts. It still doesn't change the fact that you were ordered to be a human. It doesn't change the fact that the chimp was ordered to be a chimp.
I think Mitchell in the chat's heard too many atheists.
It doesn't change the fact that energy requires a greater source of energy. It doesn't change anything.
Okay, where are we getting
Nothing-
energy from?
Nothing in the Bible, no
Is
matter
God
how you
energy?
interpret it, no matter how you interpret what the Bible says, nothing changes the fact that only your maker can remake you again.
Well, I think I explained this one is
Only your maker can perfectly cover for you himself and remake you again from the inside out by the power of his true word, as no one else can. He can recreate you. He can sanctify you. Nobody else can, because he covered for you himself. That's a fact. That's absolute truth.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Okay. How can you prove it though?
Because
technically,
there is no
you-
other truth.
I would
Really?
say the one proof you could take on it is testimony
Really?
of others.
Really, there is no other truth. You have a maker.
Where does it say that
You
there's
are
no other truth?
you are ordered to be a human. Only your maker can reorder you.
I mean, hell,
And
as Mitchell
remake
said in the chat, my maker was my parents.
Don't be a child. Don't be a child. Your maker is the DNA that ordered you to be a human, a pre-existing written word that was written inside of you to make you a human. That's
Was
your
that-
maker.
Okay, so was that the sperm or the egg?
So your maker is the pre-existing written word. It's both.
Oh, it's
It's a
both. Okay, there. I
pre-existing-
agree with you on that.
It's a pre-existing written word. Both come from the same source, which is Adam.
I'm fairly certain Adam didn't have any eggs.
No, because the rib was taken out of Adam so that Adam would be covered by a
And
provision
this
for the
is,
seed
this
of the
is a
woman.
ridiculous nonsense that you think that is factual.
It is factual. We can observe the pre-existing written word that creates people in front of our eyes. That creates
Really?
humans by a pre-existing
Okay.
written word.
So how do we make a human out of dust?
No,
Well,
we can't do it.
Cool.
Only your
Term
maker can.
dust.
Dust
The
is
term-
the chemicals. The chemicals
Yeah.
that you're made of. When you die, you return to dust. You return to the chemicals that you were made of. What kind of argument is that?
Dust
You
is
just made a
interpreted as
half a dozen-
chemicals.
You just made a half a dozen, claims and just said it's the truth.
No, I make observations. You make claims. I make observations. Get it straight.
I provide evidence. You give claims. That's it.
No, you have no evidence. You don't have any evidence. I have the evidence of energy. I have the evidence of DNA. I have
Where's
the
the
evidence
evidence
of
of the energy?
genealogies. I have all the evidences
No.
on my side.
Hold on.
You don't
One at a
have
time,
any.
one at a
You
time.
don't have any
One at a time.
evidence. You
start
don't
with this
have
energy, let's go with energy.
anything. You don't have anything. What's your evidence? You don't have
One
any
at-
evidence.
I said one at a time. Okay, you started with energy. Where is the evidence for energy?
No, the evidence. We can observe what energy does.
Okay, we can observe what energy does. Can we observe where that energy
So
came from?
there is energy, and it can't make itself. It can't order itself. It has to come from a greater source.
Really, where is that in any of the laws regarding energy?
Because it is written in the laws of thermodynamics. It can't make itself. It can't order itself.
No, in a
That-
closed system,
That
energy
when
cannot
you
be
charge,
created or
when you
destroyed.
charge your cell phone, you have to have a greater uneven balance of energy.
Okay, that's one thing that I've seen a lot of people get confused because they think it says energy and matter. Matter gets destroyed all the time. In a closed system, energy cannot be created or destroyed.
No, I didn't say anything about matter.
I know. I'm making an observation though.
No, way.
I've
It's
seen
the
a lot of
energy.
people. I've seen a lot of people with
The energy of
Kevlar,
matter
rubber,
doesn't get destroyed, but the energy can't make itself. Energy cannot make itself. Energy has to be made, has to come from a greater source of energy.
Really? Are you familiar with any of the work on virtual particles?
Yeah,
You are.
yeah.
So
Which
the
which
fact that
always
the fact
which
that
always
randomly
amount to nothing.
no the fact
Virtual
that
particles are called virtual particles because they amount to nothing.
okay, and the fact that they sometimes actually leave real particles behind when they pop in and out of existence, which is actually energy within a closed system.
But it's energy, though. Energy has to come. Well, you're talking about an existing uh, fabrication of time and space.
No, this is in a vacuum chamber.
Exactly.
Nothing existence is
In limited time and space, you already have the fabrication of time and space,
okay.
which
You,
is the result of matter. You have time and space because of the gravity of matter. So you already have matter, the energy of matter. So you're not starting out with nothing. So all you're
do
looking
you
at,
have any idea what a model is?
all you're looking at is energy, a smaller and smaller amounts of energy. And energy always has to come from a greater source. So if there is a virtual particle that pops out of existence, it pops out because of the creation of matter that's already there. So there, wackos.
Okay, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume you're not a flat earther. Okay.
No, that don't be changing the subject.
No, no,
That's
no, no.
irrelevant.
No,
That's irrelevant.
this is completely
That's
relevant if
irrelevant
you'll
to
let
the
me finish my
topic,
sentence.
and I didn't say anything about a flat Earth.
Okay, this is completely relevant if you'll let me finish my sentence. How do we disprove flat Earth? We show them a model of the globe, right?
No, you show evidence that it's not flat.
Which is generally laid out as a model.
No, you don't show a model. You just say you can fly to Australia in 16 hours. Boom, it's a round Earth.
Yeah,
From
how
South
often does
America.
that work?
Well, that
From
doesn't
South
necessarily
America,
prove that it's round.
there are daily flights. There are daily flights from South America to Australia and back and forth between all parts of South America and Australia.
Okay, see,
And
I
it's a
agree with you.
16-hour direct flight, which proves it's a round Earth. Because if it was flat, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, I agree with you. Okay.
Okay,
actually
so
agree with
I just proved the round Earth from proving that
Okay.
it's not flat.
But the thing is I already
And
believed in a round
it's
Earth.
not a model, it's an actual real thing.
The thing is, though, is I already believed in a round Earth. How would you go about convincing a flat Earther? You would have to
I just
present
did.
a lot more than just that because they would freaking
I just did.
deny it and deny it.
No, I just did. That's
This
enough.
one
That's
guy,
all the proof.
I'm sure you. I've
That's
seen
all
you
the
as a flat
proof
Earther.
you need.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
There are many, many more proofs, but that's all the proof you need. You don't need any more proof than that.
This one guy,
But that's irrelevant to the. That's irrelevant. That doesn't. It doesn't
I can
prove
barely hear
evolution.
you.
It's irrelevant to your position. Your position is like a flat Earth. You have zero evidence of evolution. It's equal to believing in a flat Earth. It's the same thing because they have no evidence of a flat Earth. You have no evidence of evolution. All the evidence
Really?
is on our side. All the evidence
Really?
is ours. Creation is ours.
Then why do flat earthers use the Bible to prove that the world is flat?
That's
I
irrelevant.
wouldn't say ours. I'd
It's not
say
flat.
God,
We
but
can prove
whatever.
it. And the way you interpret the Bible is irrelevant.
Actually, it is. Show me a flat earther that's an atheist.
No,
There are some out there,
they were
believe
saying
it or
that
not.
atheists started flat Earth.
No, the atheists did not start flat Earth.
That's what they were saying a while back. They were saying, "Oh, atheists were the ones who started flat Earth were atheists."
Because flat Earth started back in the 50s.
And that's irrelevant to the conversation. You have no evidence of evolution. You have zero evidence of evolution, writing billions of bits of written instruction, specific written instruction that's not there. Billions of bits. You have nothing. You can't even account for energy. Nature can't account for itself. Nature can't make nature.
The energy was already here.
Nature
Why
can't
would
make
we need to account for it? We have the Big Bang.
because it has to be an infinite source of energy, an infinite source. It can't just be
singularity.
It can't just be energy is here. Energy. You can't get energy from an equal amount of
Oh
energy.
man,
You
I can
can't
have
just
this
say
conversation with
energy
you.
is here. How did it get ordered? How did the energy get ordered in the universe? It has to be ordered. It can't order itself. It can't order itself. So you don't win on any ground. You don't have one point that you can make to back yourself up. And you're here yelling at me because I'm telling you about the facts of creation.
The fact of creation.
The fact of creation, all the evidence is of creation by intent and with purpose.
No, see, the thing is I have creationist friends. Okay, they're old Earth creationists. I get along with them just fine.
Because they believe in evolution.
I mean, in Jungle Jargon's defense,
But it doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it right.
in like a non-canonical, it does give up like a tally for like the a prediction of the coming of Christ, and it's roughly about 5,500 years since like Moses' time, moving onward. But that still doesn't say how long, or at least from Adam and upward. I'm sorry. But it does give like that.
You're going to have to cite a Bible verse on that one, because the one that I read was it would happen within his apostles' lifetimes, or at least one of his apostles would still be alive.
I'll have to find you. Like I said, it's non-canonical. It's not canon Bible. It's in a non-canonical.
Because you're not hearing each other. You're talking over each other.
It's in the Apocrypha?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I have it written down somewhere.
What's in the Apocrypha?
It's a dating reference.
Apparently a different date for the coming of Jesus.
Like a tally of what it is.
Even in the Old Testament, it doesn't actually say a day. It says a time period. It says when Shiloh comes.
I posted it in
the scepter will not depart from Judah until Shiloh comes.
The time,
which is interpreted to be Messiah.
I posted in the side chat as well. I posted in the private chat and side chat.
I can't hear this one guy. I know it's Mike.
Bro, actually, I think I could turn up my mic volume. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
All right, cool. Let me turn it up all the way then. That might. But yeah, it says heaven and earth. From heaven and earth to the flood, it's about 2,748 years. And then from the flood to Abraham's 912 years. From Abraham to Moses, 430 years. From Moses to David, 510 years. From David to Babylon, 510 years. From Babylon to the incarnation of Christ, 400 years.
They were trying to make things fit together or something like that.
But it goes with the 5,000 years, so it kind of fits in the model.
You're not coming You're not coming through very clear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard that.
I said it's roughly, if you add those numbers up, it's 5,500 years.
What does that have to do with? What does that have to do with evolution, though? I don't get it.
No. Young Earth. I was talking about it for Young Earth model or whatever it's called.
It doesn't.
The yak,
It
whatever.
doesn't prove evolution.
No, I was talking about for yak because someone mentioned yak, and that's what I was saying.
Okay,
For
yeah,
yak
it's
believers,
trying
yeah.
to re-justify the age of the Earth.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're talking about.
Anyway, yeah, we know the history is about 5,000 years. The human history is about 5,000 years, except for biblical history, it goes back 6,000, more than 6,000 years, because it's from before the beginning of civilization.
Okay, so are you like all the Kent Hovens and Ken Hams around the world that think that God put the dinosaurs in the dirt to confuse us or test our faith?
No, they don't believe that. They don't believe that. Where'd you get that from? They don't believe anything like that. Hey, you guys believe all kinds of crazy things. That's the biggest straw man I ever heard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. Death didn't happen
Wait,
before the flood, so they were just really big lizards.
you're making stuff up now.
No,
Why
that's
don't
actually
you
exactly what.
present evidence that you can get any directed working thing from thin air? Try starting from there. How do you get any directed working thing from thin air? Because evolution has to make every single
Where
organ
does
in your body
evolution?
from
Where does
thin
evolution
air.
ever say that?
Evolution has to make every single organ in your body from thin air.
No, it
And
doesn't.
it requires written instruction to make every organ in your body.
Evolution has absolutely nothing to do with development.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, because it starts out with a glob that's swimming around in the sea, and then it has a then it absorbs seawater, and then eventually it has a mouth. Then it has an entrance and an exit, and then it has an eye. Every single organ in your body has to have a biogenesis of billions of bits of written instruction that's not there. You believe a lie. You were told a lie, and you're still believing it.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but are you expecting us to be able to like spit on the ground and within an hour of real time seeing this, have a fully grown adult human?
I
And you
didn't
think that
say
would
that.
prove
Why?
evolution?
Why are you saying something like that? I'm saying you have to appear with this information, the written instruction that's not there, and you don't even have that kind of history,
No, no,
because
you don't have that kind of history. We have
time
plenty.
itself is a fabrication anyway.
No, no. See, that's the issue. Okay, you guys don't have that kind of history because you've only got 10,000 years. We've got 3.8 billion years from the start of life and 14 billion years
By
from the start of the universe.
by which measure of time are you going by? Are you going by the measure of time of the speed of light, or the measure of time around a black hole? Of a black hole, of a singularity. Are you going by the measure of time of a singularity, or the measure of time of the speed of light? You don't know. You don't even know what I'm talking about. So
Well, that's because I'm not sure you know what you're talking
Earth? How old is the Earth? What time scale or what rate of time are you going by?
It's like 4.54 billion years is
What rate of time are you going by when there is no absolute measure of time or distance in the universe?
What do you mean?
It's all relative. It's all a fabrication. It's all dependent on what you're going by.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about right now.
You know that time slows down when you go to a singularity, right?
No, time slows down the further or the closer you approach the speed of light.
That too. That's the difference between general relativity and special relativity. I'm
Yes,
talking
but
about
what does this have to do with creation?
I'm talking about
You're jumping
general
around.
relativity. General relativity is where we are at. The kind of space and time that we're in.
Okay, and you mentioned a black hole, which is special relativity. So where does this?
No, that's general relativity because it's mass. It's a dilation of time and distance by mass. That's general relativity. And that's what I'm talking about. You have to have the creation of matter in order to dilate time and distance. to a quantifiable, measurable time and distance where life can occur, where we are at.
Okay, again, where
But
are
still, you don't have any. You don't have any evidence, and you're yelling. You're yelling at us. You're yelling at us, and you don't have any evidence yourself.
okay, that's because anytime I actually get close to a topic, you jump around.
No, I've been on the topic of
No,
evidence.
just as soon as I
Evidence
mentioned
of
ERVs,
evolution.
you jumped over to energy.
Evidence of evolution. Well, the energy is where
Energy has nothing to
everything.
do with ERVs.
Yes, it does,
didn't even-
because
you didn't even
everything
let
is
me
made
finish
of
my thought.
energy. Because everything's made of energy.
I mean, do you
It's
want to get
fun.
back to ERVs and then prove to me why, actually how the mechanism behind that does not prove evolution?
Because it's rogue. ERVs are rogue information. They're information that used to have a purpose.
But do
And
you understand that the genetic information we get from ERVs is passed down to our children?
how do you know it's an ERV? You don't even know what it is. Just because it looks like an ERV, you're saying it's an ERV? How do you know that it's
Because they
not
are
just rogue?
genetic markers that are passed down to your children. How hard is this to understand?
Because, well, it's all a marker. All your DNA is a marker that's passed down to your children.
Okay.
Uh,
Therefore, when you go backwards, you can see where those markers either inserted themselves, like an ERV,
but
or
it's
came into being.
information. Everything has the same kind of information because everything has to grow the same way. So no wonder we have things that are similar in our DNA. Because everything has to grow the same way. We're all made of proteins, even though they're a little bit different kind of proteins. Sometimes we're all made of proteins. We all have to grow the same way, and we all grow from an egg, which is another thing that evolution can't explain, how cells were given different instructions to be different things.
That's called a cell blueprint.
A cell blueprint.
Yeah, that's
No,
a medical term.
each cell has to.
Each cell in a multicellular organism has the genetic blueprint of the entire organism.
Yeah, but it's different parts of it are activated to be specific things. How does it get that information? That information is in the genetic blueprint.
Exactly. And when that blueprint screws up, that's where we get stuff like cancer from.
Right, from copying errors.
Exactly.
Right. But that doesn't explain how the written instruction got here. Copying errors can't explain how written instruction got here. See, you should question evolution instead of questioning creation, because
Why?
creation is what the evidence is. Because we were ordered to be humans by a pre-existing written word.
No, there's nothing pre-existing before we start to exist.
Yes, it is. Your DNA was existing
Your
before
DNA
you
is literally
existed.
broken down from
Your
half of it from each of your parents.
your DNA is what made you. And the female DNA is the same as it's the same information, set of information, except for the Y chromosome that males have.
No, it's not the same except for the Y chromosome. The Y chromosome is just the easiest one for us to track.
No, the Y chromosome is exclusively in the male genome.
Exactly. It's the easiest one for us to track because we know where it tracks from. Just like the mitochondrial DNA is the easiest one for us to track because we know where it tracks from.
No, but what I'm saying, the females have the same information except for the Y chromosome. We
No,
have
the
we
females
have
their
the X.
mitochondrial DNA, which travels down the female
We
line.
have, well, males have mitochondrial DNA too, but the
Yes, which will
female
track their mother and then their maternal grandmother and farther back down the female line.
females have two X chromosomes. One of the X chromosomes is neutralized, and the other one causes the function. But the male has a Y chromosome and an X chromosome. So the male has the additional genetic information of the Y chromosome. But we
Yes.
all have the mitochondrial DNA. But that's what's your point?
Okay. Well, apparently you graduated 4th grade biology. I appreciate that. Okay.
What's your point? What's your point?
My point is why are you trying to explain this to me? I've already known this. I've tried to lay this out for you in the information that I
You
provided.
didn't even know that the Y chromosome of Neanderthal was extinct.
No, I actually pointed out flat out that it was currently extinct, but we have found it and mapped the genome.
No, you didn't. You thought that people had Neanderthal Y chromosome when I told you that the Neanderthal Y chromosome is extinct, and you said no. There's a paper that just came out that said we got Neanderthal DNA. I said no, but I'm talking about the Y chromosome, and you didn't understand it.
About literally the
and
Y
you didn't
chromosome.
understand what I was saying. What I was talking about.
No, because this is the crap that you were spouting out the other day.
No,
A00 is Adam. Okay, A000 is just
it's
Neanderthal.
the hippy branch on the end of the tree. It can't be Adam because nobody descended from him.
Okay, I am not talking about the snowflake written by the marine biologist that works for the Creation Institute. So we're not even right.
Nobody descended from A00 except for his kids. So he can't be Adam. How can you not understand? How can you not understand something as simple as that?
How can you not understand that the A00 gene, the one that they are talking about, is specifically regarding the very base of the Y chromosome, and that is the earliest mutation
But
that we
it
can have.
can't
That is
be
the
the
common
base
chromosome.
because they swab somebody living today. It can't be the base. It has to be
that is
the tip of the tree branch.
That is the only portion of the chromosome that matches with the rest of humanity. That
It's
is
the
how
tip.
we know that it is the
No.
Y chromosome.
No, it's the tip of the tree branch. He belongs on his own tree, and all the rest of us are on another tree, and we can't.
So now you're saying the Bible's wrong,
And we did not come from his tree. We did not come from his tree. The only people that came from his tree are his kids.
Okay. Do you understand how mutation works? Because apparently you don't.
Oh, you want to change the subject now? Oh, nice. Yeah, mutations. I already told you mutations are copying errors. They're copying errors.
You pass those copying
and
errors.
You're asking me if I understand what mutations are. You need to understand that they're copying errors.
Do you understand that we pass those errors down to our children?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we go backwards and we find out where those errors originated, and we find out that the errors that we have in common with the rest of humanity are the earliest errors that are down there, does that not lead you to show that that is the person that is the one gene that is in common with the rest of humanity?
Do you know what genetic distance is? Genetic distance shows that we're on a different tree and not the same tree as A00.
Spell it right so I can read it, Mitchell. I might be able to answer it.
Genetic distance shows our distance from the common ancestors that we have. And I would have to go all the way down the tree to the root of the tree, then back up another tree to get to A00. Do you understand that?
In what aside from that one snowflake diagram that I told you is completely bogus because it's written by
It's
somebody from
not
the Creation
bogus.
Institute.
It's called genetic distance.
No, because every other tree on the planet
It's exactly
besides
what
that
you
one
were talking
is
about.
literally a linear tree.
It's what we're talking about, the error, the copying errors that we have. That's genetic distance, which is not necessarily an error because it's different numbers of copies of the same information. By those different numbers of copies of the same information, we can identify which tree we belong to. And I belong to the branch, the I branch, which is the Semitic branch, which is from Shem. And you
Yes,
said
and
you were
that's because
C.
the I branch is the latest.
Did you say that
disconnect.
you have a CY chromosome, or are you the one that said you have a CY chromosome?
Yeah, I said for the sake of argument, let's say I have a C.
Okay, so then you were probably some Pacific Islander that ended up in Puerto Rico, and that's your family tree. That's where your genetic distance shows.
Okay. The thing is C and I are still related, are they not?
We're related all the way down at the root, which is Noah.
Okay. The only thing
Yeah.
we disagree with is where that root is.
In our Y chromosome, you have to go all the way down to the base of the tree, and I have to go all the way down to the base of the tree, which connects to Noah to relate to your Y chromosome.
Okay. See, you stop at Noah. I stop at science, which says that the I haplogroup broke off around 30,000 years ago.
No, is genetic distance is not number of years. It's
No,
genetic distance.
genetic distance is an estimated number of years based on the number of mutations
No,
between
no.
those
Forget
numbers.
the number of years. Forget the number of years. You don't know when an error is going to be made. It's just the number of errors, or the number. What it actually is, in the Y chromosome, it's the number of different when the different numbers of copies were made. In other words, if you had 10 copies, and you go have a child, grandchild, and he has a son, and he has 11 copies instead of 10 copies. That's called genetic distance. And that following that genetic distance, I can follow my tree all the way down to the base, which is Noah, and then I have to go up all the way up the tree to A00 and to C where you are.
Okay. Let's try this again.
So the DNA proves Noah.
How many generations do you believe are between us and Noah, approximately?
It doesn't matter. The number of generations doesn't matter.
It does matter because of the number of mutations.
No, because you don't know who has the mutation. You don't know which generation has the mutation, so the generation doesn't matter. Genetic distance is when the error was made.
Genealogically speaking, we do know because that's how genetic tests
No,
work.
you can estimate. You can estimate, but you can't know for sure that there's going to be a different duplication error or a different number of duplications.
Actually, yes, the percentage I found was somewhere between 0.79 and 0.84.
Yeah, but that's an estimate. It's not. You don't know for each generation when there was a.
Yeah, that's number of mutations per generation.
You don't know when there was a different number of copies for each generation. Don't be silly. You don't know who had the mutation unless you took their DNA, and you can't take their DNA. So it's different numbers of copies of the same information, and that produces a code which identifies which branch of the tree that you are on. And I am an I. I have to go all the way down to the base to our common ancestor, which is Noah, and then back up the tree to get to you or to A00. by way of the Y chromosome. Now, I'm probably closer related to you in other ways, through other people, but through my paternal lineage and your paternal lineage, we have to go all the way to Noah to have a common ancestor. That's what the evidence shows. That's genetic distance.
Okay, so you're now admitting that the rest of the genetics has a factor in that, but only when it suits you.
No, I'm just saying what the evidence is, that you're on a different tree than I am. By the code,
By means of a single chromosome out of 46.
by the code that is written into your Y chromosome, passed down from your father and his father and his father. That's the only way you can track the ancestry is that way directly. I mean, you could have autosomal and say you're this much European, you're this much African, you're this much this, you're this much that, but that's autosomal and that's not specific. It's just an overall percentage of your DNA. But you can track your father to son paternal ancestry all the way back to its origin by Y chromosome, and between you and me, if you're C, our common ancestor is Noah by way of our paternal lineages. And that's DNA evidence that proves the existence of Noah, our common ancestor. Because we know the history. Because we know the history of where everyone is.
Whoa. You just jumped from science to history. Stay on the subject.
No, science is what you can know. History is what you can know. You can know that there's. You can know that the
history is what happened. Science is what happened.
No, science is that you can know that in Africa there is A, B, and E, and the D and E are in Tibet and Japan, and you can know that the I went into Europe and is in Scandinavia and England and Ireland and places, because there are Semites that went north and mixed in with the Japhethites, the Japhethites are R and Q, Y chromosome. So science is what you can know. If it's history, that's a science too. If it's theology, that's a science too. Theology is the highest form of science.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Because it's the science of your creator, that he's the only one that can cover for you himself, pay your debt, and remake you again from the inside out by the power of his true word, as no one else can. That's science. That's knowing the truth. You have no truth because you've been lied to ever since you were young. And there's nothing that you can tell me that's factual.
Well, no, there's nothing
because
that I can tell you that
the facts are on our sides. You don't have any facts. All the facts are on our side. You don't have anything.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I definitely agree with at least Wildheart over here in the chat. Theology is not a science.
Theology is the highest level of science.
No, it's not. It's a claim in a book.
It's an ology, cosmology, theology, biology. It's an ology. It's a science. It's knowing the truth. And if you don't know the truth, you don't know anything.
Hold on a second. Is that what you think?
Science is knowing. Science is knowing. Look up the word. Science is knowing the truth.
Yeah, I understand that.
Science is knowing. Science is knowing your maker. Science is knowing God. Yeah. That's what science is about. You could even ask Isaac Newton if he was alive. You could ask him, what's science about? He would say, it's knowing your maker. That's what Isaac Newton, the virtual father of science, that's what he said. That's what he would have said, is that science is knowing the truth, knowing your maker. knowing that only your maker can cover for himself and remake you again. Nobody else can. That's science. That's knowing the truth. The truth will set you free.
But
Your
you
garbage,
just
your
made a claim.
garbage, your garbage of evolution will send you to the dump. That's where it'll send you.
You just made a claim that ology is
No,
what
it's
we
not
know.
a claim. It's an
Yes, you did.
observation.
No,
It's all
language-wise,
observations.
language-wise, the word
It's
ology is the Latin
all
word of to study.
study of the truth. It's
No,
all
no, no. There's no
observations.
truth whatsoever in the word ology.
Yes. Oh, there's no truth in biology. There's no
No,
truth in
there is no
astronomy.
truth. There's no truth.
There's no
in the
truth
suffix
in.
ology.
It's a study. It's a study of the truth. A study of whatever you're studying. And theology is the highest level of study. And if you don't know theology, you don't know the truth. The absolute truth. You can't know absolute truth without knowing theology. And you know, I grew up listening to this garbage all my life. I could never talk back to the science books. And now I get a chance. They don't want to talk to me because they know they have nothing to say. They have nothing to tell me because they're all wrong about everything. We're all right about everything.
You were. I just showed you wrong.
No, I'm not. Everything I say is an observation. It's all observed. It's all real history. It's all real fact. We're made by a pre-existing written word.
Okay, so what does the suffix ology mean in Latin?
You just said study. The study
okay.
of.
So you finally agree with me now.
It's a study of truth.
No. The word
Yeah.
ology is the study of.
Okay,
That's
but theology is the study of the theos. The
No.
theos is a God who is true. It's the study of truth.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
Then why,
and if
then
it's
why are there
biology,
why are there
it's the study.
theologians that are Hebrew?
It's the
And why are
truth.
there
And what's that
theologians
got to do? What's that
Because you
got to
said
do
it
with
was the study of
evolution?
truth.
And what's that got to do with evolution? It doesn't prove
Oh,
evolution.
no. We've been jumping around topics.
You don't have any evidence of a you've been on here for how many hours? You haven't presented any evidence of evolution whatsoever because you don't have any.
Now, you want to go back to ology. Biology is the study of life.
Thank you for proving you don't have any evidence of evolution.
Oh, so you're gonna talk
Because
over me?
that's what the
I figured.
topic is.
You're just gonna
The
talk over
evidence.
me and try and railroad me.
That's
into
what it's
figuring out
about.
that I'm saying shit that you
It's
think is
the
not
evidence
right.
or lack of evidence of evolution, which you don't have any evidence of evolution, so there's nothing you can tell me. If you can't know anything, there's nothing you can tell me.
You gonna let me talk
So
now?
and you guys, you guys get all upset and everything, like as if we're the ones that are the bad guys. We're the ones that are telling the truth. And anybody that's not telling the truth as we are the bad guys.
No. You're the ones that are spouting nonsense, and I just caught you in three.
We're not telling nonsense. We're telling the truth. We're telling observations. Energy can't make itself. Energy can't order itself. We're telling the truth. Biology can't make itself. Biology can't order itself. We're telling the truth. You guys are lying.
Okay.
You guys are
once
presenting
again, where in biology
and
does it say
shoving lies down our throats on a daily basis.
where in biology does it say that it has to?
Where in biology does it say you have to what?
What you just said that biology supposedly says. Where does it say that in biology?
Where does it have to say what? I'm talking about evidence of evolution. There is
Yes.
no evidence of evolution.
Biological evolution is a fact.
No, that's a claim.
No, that's not. That's literally an entire field of science.
No, it's an entire field of fantasy. And you guys you guys shove this nonsense down our throats on a daily basis, and you have no evidence.
You regurgitate.
You have zero evidence.
You think sounds right, and it's
you
not.
have zero evidence of your magical matter. You can't
I could
get written
I could
instruction.
easily throw that right back at you and say you have zero evidence for
You
your
don't-
magical master.
You don't have magical matter to make something.
And you don't
The
have a magical
maker-
master that's going to make something.
No, it's not magical. He's the maker. It's not without power or without understanding. It's with power and with understanding that he makes everything. It's from infinite power. It's what the evidence shows. From infinite
No.
power, infinite knowledge.
That's a hell of a claim, and you're going to have to back it up.
No, it's not. It's an observation that you always have to have a greater and
Really? Then
greater
why am I not
source of
observing?
power. Listen. You have to have a greater and greater source of power. You have to have a greater and greater source of understanding, which is also power.
That kind of petered out there for a second, didn't it?
Which is also power. Understanding is also power. How do you think a king has power? It's by his wisdom and understanding that he has power.
No, a king has power because his family has managed to trick the surrounding population to worship him.
Yeah, but he's set up by God.
No, kings are not set up by God.
Yes, they are. Because they're the ones that got the power.
Really? So, let's see here. Who's what is it? Prince Andrew of England right now? I bet he's feeling
he lives
by God right now.
God lifts them up and he puts them down. But they're the ones that have power. They're the one. That's the horn.
No,
that's the horn that came into power.
I'm fairly certain it was molesting minors that put Prince Andrew down, not God.
Yeah, everything to the pure, everything is pure. To the impure, nothing is pure. Everything is defiled and unbelieving because they're defiled. Their conscience and their mind is defiled because of their unbelief. But anyways, I've always been angry and trying to, tell scientists that they don't have a clue what they're talking about. That's why if you want to be a scientist, you have to study the Bible first, history, theology, and the Bible first. Then you can be a scientist. Then you'll know what the issues are. Then you will know what the problems are and the facts are. Because if you don't know the Bible, if you don't know history, actual human history in the Bible and theology, you're not going to understand science. It's not going to make any sense to you. And you're going to be confused. You're going to believe in magical matter instead of the maker of matter and the maker and the director of matter. You get, just like the Bible says, you give credit to the creature rather than the creator. You glorify the creature rather than the creator of the creature.
Yeah,
Nature can't make itself. Nature can't order and direct itself.
Really? Because it seems to be doing a good job with it.
Pre-existing written instructions. It was ordered not by itself. That doesn't mean it ordered itself. Just because it's ordered, you can't use directed things as evidence of no direction.
No, the direction is natural selection.
No, because it's not. You're not always going to select the favorable.
No, you're right.
It's not always.
Not
always to the strong.
Right. It is not actually going to always select the favorable.
It's not always to the strong, the swift, and the brave. It's not always to the strong.
Humans cannot synthesize vitamin C.
So it's not going to write instruction that's not there. It's only going to select from the selection that's already there. You can't have a selection without a creation of a selection. But you don't think about that, do you? All you do is attack creations because you hate Christians. You just attack us because
no.
Christians. And because you hate God, and you attack us and you demean us and you badmouth us when we're the ones telling the truth.
You
We're
want
the
to start?
ones
You want
telling
to
the
start
truth,
this? I need you to start it.
and you are the ones that are lying. You
Now
are the
you're
ones that
screaming
are
over the top
lying.
of me. Yep.
You
Oh,
are
yeah.
the
You
ones
got
that
railroad
don't have
me
the
right under
truth.
that thing, don't you?
You don't have the truth. You don't have the evidence,
What did
and
I
you're
say when I
attacking
first got in
us.
this room?
You're
What did I say
attacking
when I
the
first got in
truth.
this room?
You're attacking the truth,
Oh,
just like the
what did I say when
Amalekites.
I first got in this room?
Just like the Amalekites attacked the Messiah, you're attacking Christians. You're attacking the
No, I
sons.
do not attack Christians. Okay, what did I say when I first got in this room? I have no issues with Christians. I have issues with creationists.
But it's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You are fundamental cult-like Christians.
No, we're telling the truth. And you haven't presented anything for your
I have
opinion.
creationists in my family that have disowned me because I was an atheist. I have Christians in my family
That
that still get
doesn't
along with me,
disprove. That
but because
doesn't
I'm an
prove
atheist.
anything.
I
That
have
doesn't
Catholics
prove.
in my family that support evolution.
That doesn't prove evolution. It doesn't disprove creation.
No, evolution
No,
disproves creation. Okay. The
no.
problem
You
is
never proved evolution. You never proved evolution. All you had was claims from a tooth, from a pig's tooth. That's all you have.
flames from a pig's tooth. Where the
For
hell did
for
you get that?
60 years of my life, all you have is stupid claims like that, like claims from a pig's tooth.
What in the hell are you talking about? What pig's tooth?
If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's your problem. Okay.
Are you talking about Piltdown Man?
I'm not gonna educate you on all your claims that you ever made over my lifetime. But every claim
I am
that you
asking
guys
my
ever
neighbor.
made in my whole lifetime are always disproved. They're always disproved every time.
Yeah, and they are disproved by
Even
science.
today's claim, even every one of today's claims are being disproved as we speak.
They are disproved by scientists because we found better science.
You know, better science means you have facts and evidence, which you don't have. Obviously, you can't explain anything in your own words. All you can do is say, scientists said so. You can't explain it in your
And
own
all
words.
you can say is my
You can't
book
tell me, you can't educate me on anything.
I am fully aware I can't educate you.
Because you can't tell me anything. You don't have any facts to tell me.
No,
And
it's
you
because
guys want to sit here, want to sit here and land-based Christians or creationists, as you say, and you are the ones that are full of lies. You are the ones that don't have the facts. We're the ones that have the facts. We have all the facts on our sides. You have nothing. And that's good enough for that. I'm not going to waste any more time.